This is the latest all-in-one Switch Pro controller you need, and let me tell you why. QRD was nice enough to send me their brand new Stellar T5 Switch Pro controller that features Hall effect joysticks. And you know how much I love Hall effect joysticks on this channel, and I'll go into detail why this is important later, but let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. So right off the bat, you're going to get a left and a right Joy-Con, a middle rail, instructions, a charging cord, and something that I've never seen before in these types of controllers, but a separate D-pad that you can switch out, which we'll test in a second. I didn't hesitate to review this controller solely for the look. It's got that clear, transparent shell that I just cannot get enough of, and it looks just as good as it did on the website. It's hard for it to show up on camera, but it's a soft touch plastic. So I know a lot of these clear plastics, especially like the Extreme Rate controller, it's not a soft touch plastic, it's just kind of a regular hard plastic, which is fine until you're gripping it for long gameplay sessions, so I can definitely see the benefits of having that finish. And we flip it on the back is also going to have these rubberized grips, which feel amazing, and it's something that I also haven't seen on this form factor. It's important to note that this form factor is almost like a genre of controllers. It looks very similar to the Nixie, but none of these two designs are copying off of each other. There's plenty of controllers that have this kind of vibe, and I'm kind of loving it. But there's definitely a lot that makes this controller stand out, so we'll first go over some of the regular specs that come standard, and then we'll highlight some of the key features that helps us stand apart. So of course it's got wireless connection for all of the Switch models, but it also connects to PC, iOS, and Android gaming. We've got nice clicky thumbsticks, a nice clicky D-pad, very clicky buttons, which I'll highlight here in a second, a plus, a minus, which are standard, the screenshot home button, and two turbo buttons on either side. Flip it around, and you're gonna have your two macros and vibration settings. And don't forget about the back paddles. I wish more controllers came standard with back paddles. They are super useful, especially when utilized correctly. And as you saw when I began to turn it on, we're gonna have some customizable LEDs, but I'll cover those here in a second. Let's get back to the ABXY buttons. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the triggers have a very unique click to them as well. Just take a listen. The ABXY buttons and the triggers use micro switches, which are more commonly known as mouse click buttons. Now, this may be a deal killer for some people because I know a lot of people like the very soft kind of click, but I am a big fan of mouse clicks on controllers. I think it may be just because I don't really see them that often. It's very nice for precise inputs. You're not ever going to be wondering, am I fully pressing the buttons down? And I've mentioned it in a ton of my videos, but I don't really like an analog controller. It's nice to have a hair trigger controller, but the mechanical switches basically make everything hair trigger. The triggers, the bumpers, and the buttons. The D-pad is unfortunately not this way. It's just kind of like a regular click, but I mean, you win some, you lose some. Speaking of the D-pad, let's go ahead and switch it out for this kind of paddle. I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of really hard to get the D-pad out. Once you put this paddle in, it's very easy to get this out because there's like a grip, but this goes straight in and there's not much to get leverage off of. So just fair warning. All right, so we have this kind of unique Xbox Pro controller D-pad, which I am a huge fan of. I know this is also a rare feature in controllers, so I may have a bias there, but it's just way more comfortable. I'd say the argument for both is most likely you use a regular D-pad and you're very sure of inputs. Use a paddle and you can make differences in directions much quicker, but they're not as precise. I don't ever find that it's that serious, to be honest. I mean, unless you're playing like a fighting game maybe. Anytime I'm using a D-pad, this works just fine, and it ends up being more comfortable anyways. Overall, I'm already saying that it is a super comfortable controller. I haven't had a lot of extensive playtime yet. I'm already telling that I'm loving it. Here's the look while it's on my Switch. Now, my Switch is an ice blue shell from Extreme Rate. I love the Switch replacement, but I'll just make a side comment. The ice blue doesn't go with a lot of things. at all. It's a slight blue tint, so you would think that the clear would make it go with everything, but no, you can definitely tell that slight blue tint when it's matched with things, especially like green or other wildly contrasting colors. That being said, it looks so sick. I mean, this is probably my favorite look for the Switch yet. So the controller connects pretty much instantly to your Switch, and I didn't have any problem pairing it. Right off the bat, the red LEDs that it comes with while it's on are giving me kind of a Darth Vader vibe. I'm really digging it. But if you want to cycle through the LEDs at any time, you're going to press the turbo button on the corresponding side and then click the thumbstick. So you've got several different color options, pretty much the entire rainbow. And then when you cycle all the way back around, you do have a 7 color option, which is also pretty nice. Here is that 7 color option now. I think my favorite, as you can tell, is the yellow. Looks pretty cool, but all the LEDs look really cool. I think they did a really good job. It does shine through the transparent just a little bit. So if you hold down T and you double click the thumbstick, we'll actually put it in a 7 color breathing mode. And so these lights will slowly shine each color of the rainbow. Setting the turbo function is pretty easy. You just pick whichever side you want to set the turbo to. You press the turbo button, then you press the button you want to set to turbo, then you press the turbo again, and it should give you a small little vibration notification letting you know that you've programmed that turbo button. Setting macros is just a little different. You want to go to your back and find either macro button, hold the macro button down until you see all the lights light up, and then you want to press a button, and then you can exit your macro setting by letting go of the M. Now, if you want to set a chain of macros, you do the same thing by holding either M. Here, I'll switch it to this. Wait till the lights pop up. You can press any sequence of buttons, let go, and then that sequence of buttons will be programmed in that order. Some tech specs that might be useful to you is that each side has about 6.5 hours of battery usage while using it. It weighs about 197 grams, and it claims that if you're not using it, it'll retain its battery for around 30 days. So it's got some great first impressions. It looks awesome, it feels nice on the initial touch, and it has a ton of features, but how does it play? Let's go to the testing grounds. So I took it through the Ultimate Gauntlet where I played a bunch of games, and I definitely had to try out, of course, some 200cc on Mario Kart, and let me tell you, it ran just as smooth as it did when I first unboxed it. Like I was saying before, that smooth touch plastic and the rubberized backing really comes in handy, and I kind of have sweaty hands when I game, so this is something that is really perfect for me. The actual physical shape of the grip, just like others I've reviewed in the past, it's just comfortable. It's a nice big grip, and especially when you're using it docked to the Switch, I guess you would say, when you have the Joy-Cons on the Switch in portable mode, it is the perfect mix of portability and comfortability. The vibration was a little intense initially, but thank God you can always adjust that. Would I recommend this? Absolutely. This is probably easily one of my favorite Pro controllers I've reviewed. I know that say that about everything, but they just keep topping themselves. So make sure if you want to grab one, use my link in the description and use the code above for 10% at checkout. And with that being said, let me know what you think. Do you love them? Do you hate them? What should I review next? And I will see you in the next one.